Hey folks, how's it going? It's Chris, Mr. Moneyfingers Haddad with a sprained finger. So I'm now Mr. Money. There's less money because of the less fingers going on here. With the number 3 in our Affiliate Advantage series, or excuse me, I believe I call it Chris, Mr. Moneyfingers Haddad's Affiliate Advantage series. Because I'm sure somebody else owns affiliateadvantage.com or something like that. And this week we are going deep into the bowels of Clickbank with category account manager for health and fitness, Mr. Josh Valencia. Josh, say hi.
Hey everybody.
How's it going?
Great to meet you all, or e-meet you rather.
E-meet, there we go. Yes, it's not quite meeting, but something close to it. So Josh, I'm really happy you were able to join us. Originally I tried to get Alex to come on, but he's afraid of the camera. I think he might be a vampire of some kind or something like that. I'm not quite sure what goes on there.
He's got like some mad nasty scars.
He does.
He's really self-conscious about it.
He's basically the Elephant Man, but but so polite. So polite, which is really the most important part. So Josh, we actually emailed out before doing this call to our affiliate list and got I believe what Colleen called a metric fuck ton of questions that were coming in. So what I want to do in our time together is I want to try to answer some of the questions that some of the affiliates that we have on our list seem to be asking. Some of the questions I think are actually things that you can't answer and I can't answer, and we can talk about why they can't be answered as well, which is important. And then also maybe just talk about where Clickbank has been and where Clickbank is going from your viewpoint, because I've certainly seen some pretty massive changes going on in the way Clickbank does business and the way their approach to things over the last year or so. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds great. Looking forward to going on this journey with you.
It's going to be an amazing journey. It'll be like a Doctor Who thing, where we would go. Josh, so let's just start off. How long have you been working at the big CB as these go?
The big Clickbank. So I've been here about 4 years now, a little over 2 years.
Makes you an old timer, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. In this industry that's ever changing, if you've been somewhere longer than a year, it's kind of like you become a veteran. So
totally,
yeah, it's been about 2.5. No, not quite 2.5. A little over 2 years as an account manager with our previously it was a Premier team, now it's a Platinum program, and so I work with our health and fitness guys.
And I hear that you guys send out, I think I might have gotten a plaque at some point, or a certificate, I forgot.
Something really classy.
Somebody posted that they got a certificate, and I'm like, but I'm like a top 10 Clickbank guy. Come on. I know that we run a lot of stuff through there. So you've been on the account team for about 2.5 years. What were you doing before that?
So before that, I've been with Clickbank, from the bottom up to the Platinum program, account managing. So I started with our customer service team, just kind of entered into Clickbank looking for a job, and it's kind of morphed into a career. Yeah. Worked with the client services team after customer service, working with kind of our smaller tiered affiliates and vendors and whatnot, asking those kind of questions when they're getting started running their online business.
Great. So you've dealt with a lot of folks who are newer to Clickbank.
Yeah, affiliates and vendors of all shapes and sizes.
Which I think is going to be really valuable while we talk here. And now, of course, as a Platinum, for those who don't know what Platinum is, can you just explain what the Platinum program is for a second?
Yeah, of course. So the Clickbank Platinum program is for our top tier vendors and affiliates on the platform. When you hit a certain revenue threshold, along with maintaining an effective quality rate of low chargebacks and refund rates. Once you do that, then we send you an invitation to our Platinum program, which is essentially a program we've set up to give added benefit to our clients who have reached that certain status within the company. It includes having a dedicated account manager like myself, as well as expedited approvals and fun little invites and whatnot to various contests or events and whatnot.
Programs, all sorts of kind of things.
All sorts of stuff.
Mostly strip clubs, as far as I can tell. No, I've never been invited by a strip club. But I do remember when we got I forget when we got our first Platinum invitation. Quite some time ago.
Probably been a while.
It's been, this particular business, we've been doing pretty well with Clickbank for about 4 years now, I think. So certainly a while. And I will say, having somebody inside you can go to quickly has been very, very, very helpful. So getting to Platinum status is a good thing because you get to just call somebody like Josh up and say, hey, I need to get this done quickly. And they do it. They get it done. It's pretty awesome. So,
well, great. Great feedback.
Yeah, it's good. It's actually only gotten better over the last year or so, which we will talk about in a bit, probably. So, Josh, I'm really happy that you have experience dealing with newer affiliates because I really feel like a lot of the questions that we got were from people who are newer. And I remember,
for sure.
We're recording this on November 11th of 2014, which is about a month after we did our Language of Desire launch, which did very, very well. And that product is doing crazy on Clickbank right now. It's kind of freaking me out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it and I'm like, so how high is this thing going to go? I don't know. I mean, and my team, of course, we're all like, okay, so we have to surf this wave while also knowing it could stop at any time. It's one of those weird, like, you can't really prep for the future when it's affiliate traffic that massive. But
it's true.
But during the course of that launch, of course, we did very, very well. We did over $500,000 in sales, which for our niche I think is quite impressive. But we also got a lot of people that were saying, "Hey, this is the first product I ever promoted where I made money on ClickBank," or I'm a totally which is, and I got to say, those are the emails that like. Me personally, I'm not a money motivated person. I'm an accomplishment motivated person. Like which is so for me, getting those kind of emails from people when Colleen forwards them is just like a shot of heroin. It's just wonderful because I remember what it was like to when I was in my early and mid 20s to not have two nickels to rub together and to not know anything about this marketing world, and then you kind of discover it. And my path was as a copywriter, not as a affiliate, but it's this magical thing where you get in and you're kind of like, you see all these gurus like Chris Haddad or whatever else seem like they're these mystical gods who have secrets that no one else is allowed to know about marketing. And
the gurus that live on top of mountains that give all this.
And you go to conferences and you see guys like Frank Kern or I think Ryan Dice or Jeff Walker, who's a good friend of mine, all that kind of stuff. And it just seems like there's a ceiling up there that you can't possibly get to. And I think a lot of affiliates end up feeling like the good stuff is being held back from them. Right? Like I wanted to call this, I'm calling this episode traffic secrets, ClickBank traffic secrets they don't want you to know, right? Because that seems to be the attitude that goes on a lot. Even when I was writing offers back in the Wild West days of ClickBank, when it was like, all these make money offers like Magic Software. Yeah, I wrote several of those, and I wrote the one that got that all shut down. By the way, just so you know. The one with the one with the guy in the hospital who was like giving away his last thing. That was something that I was paid to write, and it was the last straw for me that made me say I'm not doing this anymore. But but the thing that I've discovered as I've kind of risen through the ranks of the marketing armies, as it were, is there's really not a secret. It's mostly a matter of focusing on one thing and getting really, really good at that one thing. So we'll kind of talk about that as we go. But the first questions we got were all traffic, and more traffic, according to Colleen.
Great.
So the first one is, and this is going to be one of those questions where you're like, we'll have a conversation about it. What's the number one traffic strategy that I should focus on that can give me proven results without breaking the bank?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So everybody kind of wants to know that, for those who are beginners.
Yeah.
For those who are beginners and haven't made that first sale online, they always want to know, like, where should I start? And I to be fair, like, as an account manager for ClickBank, we aren't necessarily marketers, but we know the ins and outs of online marketing, speaking with the experts like yourself, Chris. And so that's the question to some of the guys we meet. Like, if you were to start right now knowing what you know and not having the capital you have now, where would you start in pushing traffic for your own offer or affiliate offers? What would you do, basically?
Well, for me personally, okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, more often than not, the response is to focus on building an email list because it's something that can give such a long tail return. If you can focus on getting those opt-ins, you have something that's, in essence, I guess simply put, a machine that you can just push a button and money comes out. If you cold it well enough. Yeah,
and then the big thing with email lists is, people ask me sometimes, like, if you could only keep one thing from your business, what would it be? And I'd say my list. Right, particularly our women's list, because we do a lot more on the women's side than the men's side at this point. That list, that media is incredibly valuable. He who controls the media, I mean, affiliates have a ton of power, which is one of the things they don't really understand, right? Becoming somebody who actually can drive cold traffic to offers is an incredibly powerful position to be in. But for me as a product owner, the list is everything. And that'll lead us to that'll lead us to me shutting my phone off and not having somebody from Kent, Washington, calling me in the middle of this important call. But that of course leads us to we're going to talk about list building in a second, actually, but because I do agree with you that having lists is a big thing. I also think rumors of emails demise are greatly exaggerated. As they say, a lot of people seem to be saying, okay, well, open rates are going down, click-through rates are going down, etc., which is true, and you can still make a lot of money that way. A good, well-maintained email list is a wonderful thing to have. Yeah.
And that's the thing is I think that to a point it gets, email marketing, building those lists and whatnot, it can get saturated because you're competing with so many other enterprise level companies as well as other marketers and whatnot. But the secret lies in how well you're maintaining that relationship with your readers and whatnot. Because if you're maintaining and building that relationship, providing quality content along with the promotions you send, then they're going to look forward to reading those emails as opposed to shunning them like they do with all the others.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who will get a list and they'll treat it like a piggy bank, right? They'll basically just get a list and they'll hammer it. I was talking to somebody and they were saying, oh yeah, you should be emailing your list twice a day, every day. I'm like, no, not doing it. No. Because even if you're sending great stuff, it just can become kind of an annoyance at that part.
Yeah.
I do think, you want to be emailing. We email our list 4 times a week, I think, basically. And our particular strategy, which works well for us, is that every Tuesday we send out a newsletter, which is just content. It's just basically something that Michael Fiore, who's me, writes, answering a question, doing something like that. That same email also promotes our podcast, which we give away for free, which is free content for all our people. And then on Thursday, we usually send some kind of pitch. On Friday, we send an email that pushes over towards our blog site, the Digital Romance Inc. site that has a ton of articles on it. And then on Sunday, we send another pitch. And that's kind of a balance for us. But that's 4 a week, but 2 of them are content, 2 of them are pitch-based, essentially. And that's worked very well for us. But it's kind of a strategy that we fell into over time. But when you're listening to some people, especially in the IM make money niche, it's like they just hammer their list with go buy this, go buy this, go buy this, go buy this.
Happens a lot.
And suddenly your open rate is 1% or whatever else. The next question we got here, and we're going to come back to list stuff in a minute, because I know folks that are watching are saying, but how do I build an email list? And we're going to cover that in a minute. Another question we got a bunch was, where is the place to get the best traffic aside from social media? I'm wondering why people think social media is one of the best traffic sources, because it's certainly not. But what do you think?
Oh no, it's a fair question. I think that social media, in terms of like affiliate marketing and just online marketing in general, gets a lot of hype. There's so much talk about Facebook's advertising power and whatnot. But in reality, if you're wanting to scale up, if your goal is to do hundreds of thousands of dollars a day, there's so much potential with Facebook and being able to target, and so much volume of advertising potential that you could do that. But in terms of better traffic, there are tons of other potential better traffic sources, but it all kind of depends on your advertising itself. There's so many outlets out there. It really depends on your ability.
Let's just list what some of those outlets are, actually, because some people might not even really know, right? Like
sure. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so some of them, one of them that I've been hearing quite a bit about lately is kind of these native advertising solutions, like through Taboola and Yahoo Gemini, which is fairly new. These are great opportunities, or I guess great traffic sources across a myriad of different websites.
And a native ad is basically an ad that looks like it's part of, you'll see them all over the place these days, but you're reading an article, you scroll down, you see some kind of weird picture that says 7 weird things about Kim Kardashian. You click on that, and that brings you off to another site, which will bring you into a funnel at that point, basically.
Yeah. One of the more common ones that you'll see is like if you're on yahoo.com and you're looking at the news articles, they'll have like a sponsored news article, and it'll say sponsored at the bottom, and it'll be an advertisement.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And those are growing last year. Yeah, they've grown a lot. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are growing quite a bit. Also, search traffic isn't dead. Google still kind of owns the internet, so to speak, and there's still tons of opportunity through that. I personally like Bing. There's less volume, but there's still a ton of potential there in driving traffic. And another source that I've learned recently that hasn't nearly been leveraged to its potential is YouTube. I recently heard from a speaker who is an expert on YouTube that only about 20% of YouTube's ad inventory is being used. So 80% of it is going unused, which is kind of crazy. My
eyebrows just went way up on that one.
Yeah. Now you're like, how can I learn?
I'm actually making a note to talk to my people about that after we get off the phone. And actually, I was talking to some folks over at who do really well on YouTube the other day about just how big their YouTube list is and their subscriber channel is, and how they're able to use that. I know for some of our offers, people are using YouTube in interesting ways. They'll either do a review video of one of our programs, or they'll do some kind of content thing that leads into, and now go watch this kind of thing. On the Google thing, Bing, I totally agree with you on Bing. We're only now getting, by the way, in my business, Digital Romance Inc., we're only now getting to the point that we're really doing our own traffic to any real degree. For the 4 years we've been around, we've been almost entirely affiliate based, and have done some pretty good numbers. Having no control over our traffic at the same time. But I think Bing is great because it's you can basically go back and they're not as strict up with their rules. You're not going to get banned in the same way. Yeah. For Google stuff, Google I feel like has loosened up their strictures a bit over the last year or two. But they still frown quite a bit on like driving traffic directly to a sales video or something like that. Have you seen experience? Do you have had experience with that, or have you seen better ways of doing it, or anything to say about that?
Yeah, I think that's your conclusions are pretty fair. I mean, Google is still for those Google and Facebook primarily that kind of own the internet in terms of owning traffic and whatnot. They own such a large market share.
They do.
They're not begging for people to use their network, and so they can write the rules and expect people to follow them and whatnot. And then if they don't like that you're not playing by the rules, they can axe you, and there's 10 other people ready to fill that space. With someone like Bing, beggars can't be choosers to a point. Bing is in no way to the size of Google.
So
and
somehow Bing's lack of success is actually what makes it effective in a way.
Exactly, yeah. Because there's still tons of qualified traffic on Bing. It's not like there isn't any there. It's just people haven't grasped it as they have with Google because Google still has the volume.
Well, it's also about how much do you really need to do? We were just talking about Language Desire as we are speaking right now is doing extraordinarily well.
Yes.
And I'm hoping it will continue to do that. I'm not banking on that by any means because I've been on this ride before, and eventually the pony gets tired and you have to get off and do something else. I lost my train of thought there a little bit, but there's different types of traffic that are coming in at any given time, and really how much traffic do you need to be successful as an affiliate, right? It's not necessarily, you don't need to be somebody who's driving 100,000 clicks every day in order to be successful. In fact, a lot of times when folks drive 100,000 clicks, I end up banning them from my account because they're sending crap a lot of the times, right? It's like if you send me 100,000 clicks and don't make a sale, I promise you I will ban your account because all that does is cost me as a vendor money, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But something like Bing or like YouTube or just setting up a review site that's actually a good positive review site that's not about blankety blank scam or something like that. You only need a few sales, like 1 or 2 sales a day, to pretty much replace your income at that point. If the people that you're sending traffic to know what they're doing, getting to the point that you're making $100 a day as an affiliate, which is a goal a lot of folks have, right? Even that sounds insane to a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean that's enough to replace an income, for starters at the very least.
That's $3,000 a month right there, right?
Yeah,
that's $36,000 a year. That's above the poverty line. You're doing pretty well at that point. And when you break it down that way, I mean, to get $100 a day for like one of our offers, our average value, you would need to make a little over 2 sales a day, basically, on one of our offers, because we usually go around the $47 front end, and then we go into our upsell path from there.
And the upsells, yeah.
So when Josh talks about Bing, nobody else is there. There's plenty of traffic for you as an affiliate to be able to make money there, right? You might not be somebody who's driving 5,000 sales a day, but whatever else. So I just think go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, a great way to look at it, I really like spelling that out. Like, let's say even $100 a day would be huge for a lot of affiliates because they're having struggles making those first few dollars. So maybe starting out, like, if you're a new affiliate looking to make those first few sales, set that goal, like, I want to do $100 a day and then work from there. In order to make $100 a day, I need to have this many sales. If I need to have this many sales, then I need my conversion rate to be this. If I need my conversion rate to be this, or you can calculate how many landers on your sales page you need, or I guess pre-sale page, what your click-through rate needs to be in order to get that many landers, and so on and so on. So you can spell it out backwards, essentially, to see how you can get to that $100. I think starting backwards is a great way to look at it. I agree.
Knowing what your goal is. I actually do that with copywriting a lot of the times. I do it in a way where I'll start out by writing swipe copy or banner ads and then figure out what the product is from there, which is a little bit backwards because I'm like, well, what's going to get people's attention to start with and then going down. But I totally agree with you on that idea of setting a goal that seems ambitious but doable, whatever that might be, for wherever you are at this point. Because everybody who's successful in internet marketing at this point, whatever class they are, I think of internet marketing kind of like Dungeons and Dragons in a way. And like, it's like, I leveled up as a copywriter. You leveled up as a media buyer. Here we go. The person you don't want to be on the list most of the time, by the way, is the content creator, because they're actually the least valuable of the people who are.
Which is kind of crazy.
It is.
I don't think people see that very often. The marketer is really one who can empower people to land on a page and make that purchase. Is the one who holds the power. Yeah,
and I would say as a writer, I've been a writer my entire life, and when I first got into marketing and started getting good at it, it was tough for me to be like, no, your content's not that important. I mean, it's important, like especially in our company, we really bust our butts to make sure our programs are good, but it doesn't matter how good your program is if nobody buys it. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, the product, the actual content, ends up being a refund deterrent mechanism, if you want to be cynical about it at that point. But really, I mean, it's basically traffic and conversion, as Ryan Deiss and Perry Belcher would say. Those are the two things that really matter. And you want to be great at one of those two, because you're not going to be great at both. Like, it's really, really difficult to get. I know very few people who are both masters of like a lot of traffic and actually know how to write copy at a high level and know how to do that kind of thing. And I feel like what I love about Clickbank is it lets, to use my D&D metaphor, it lets, people of different classes find each other and work together with very little friction. Right. So right now I created the offer. Me and my team created Language Desire. We hired Felicity Keith, who's doing quite well on it, because we give her a piece of the sales on it, to actually create the content. And now the affiliates are out there pushing this offer, and I'm not really doing anything to get that traffic. My job is just to make sure the traffic that does get to me actually converts. Right. Yeah. And I think it's just a lot about like in life, success comes not from being well-rounded, but from finding your strengths and getting stronger at them, right?
Yeah, and I think for those who are starting, whether you're starting as an affiliate marketer or whether you want to create your own offer or something, whichever you're doing,
or both,
you want to be able to do it all, or both. Yeah, you want to be able to do everything, and that's just not realistic. And especially with affiliates who are brand new and they want to learn internet marketing, they suffer from, generally speaking, shiny object syndrome, where everything that they hear or see is just so exciting, and they're like, that's going to be my ticket to making such and such amount of money online. But then you start working on a project, and then you get distracted by something else that sounds equally or even more awesome. And from my experience, I've suffered from it as well. And the key is dialing in on that one thing.
I will say my team, Megan and Mike and those guys, I'm a pretty creative person. I have a billion ideas. And they have a section in Basecamp called where it's like Chris's brainstorming area, and they're just like, put your ideas in there. We'll get to them if we can. Because the worst thing would be, and actually I'm not even allowed to talk to certain employees on a regular basis, because they're afraid, the people that are right below me are afraid that they'll talk to me, I'll go off on some crazy tangent about something, and then one of our tech guys will start building that when they should be doing something totally different, right? It's really about focus and focusing on one thing. And I think I said this in a previous one, like there's so much stuff out there teaching you how to be great at Facebook marketing or great at Twitter or how to create this funnel or how to create that, and people buy all this stuff and think they're accomplishing something by buying all this stuff. Pick one thing. There's a lot of good courses out there by people that are quality. Pick one, actually go through it and do it. Execute, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is a lot of people kind of approach, like you were saying, they see all these different courses, and to be honest, probably most of them have really good quality content that will benefit you to a point. The thing is, you shouldn't approach it from this, educational perspective, like, I want to learn about everything. Really, what you need to do is learn about one thing and just hone in on that skill. Because if you continue trying to gather up as much information as you can about everything about internet marketing, you're going to have everything understood from a theoretical perspective, but the theoretical isn't what's going to make you any money. What you really need to do is put it into practice, have more of a practical knowledge on one thing, because you can't gain that practical knowledge about everything.
No,
at least not.
And people that say they know every single I know a lot about internet marketing.
Yeah.
I don't know the traffic stuff personally, right? And I don't know how to get a bunch of clicks onto the page. I know theoretically some of the stuff about media buying, things like that. I have people on my team who are very, very good at that and getting better. But for me, it's like I'm good at coming up with ideas for offers and writing copy and getting the products created and affiliate management, basically. Yeah. Right? Those are the only things I do in my business. Yeah.
that's the thing is Chris, you're a perfect example of not having to know everything and still being really successful, because the fact that you know how to write psychologically to the customer, to speak to their heart, to their mind, and make them buy, you're not really concerned about traffic, because affiliates are going to see that, and because it converts, they're going to go, hey, look at this, I'm getting this kind of a return.
Yep.
I'm just going to throw a bunch of money at it and watch a bunch of money come back to me, because you were able to master that one thing in the process.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody else about their launch recently. There was a big launch. Well, there was what was supposed to be a big launch in the relationship space that fell down, I would say, recently. And I was talking to them about it, and I was like, guys, I was on the phone with the people that did it just as a favor to them. And I was like, guys, this launch actually failed 4 months ago. It's just that you're finding out now. Right? And it was because their core idea didn't work, right? The core concept of what they were trying to sell wasn't what the market wanted. And then from there, the story in the sales video didn't connect with the audience. And then from there, all this other stuff, and it got to the point where it's like, well, it just doesn't convert, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they had actually a lot of momentum behind them as far as name recognition, some other stuff that would get people to say, okay, I'll try this out. But if it doesn't convert and people try it out, you're dead in the water. Like, that's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that can happen. Like, I even told them, like, the worst thing for them, would have been me mailing their offer, right? So, because I have a very large list of women at this point. We tend to win a lot of contests. But I'm like, if I mail your offer, everybody knows I mailed it, right? And then they're going to ask me, how did it do for you? And I'm going to say, I made 20 cents a click, because I don't lie. And then no one else is going to mail it ever, right? It's like, but getting like just really focusing on one thing at a time. You can either be great at conversion or you can be great at driving traffic, and there's subcategories within each of those things, right? Like really drilling down into a niche, drilling down into. I always say the money is deep, not wide, right? Like if I'm using an oil drilling metaphor. I'm only now talking to people about doing offers outside the relationship niche after 4 years in the relationship niche, because we've done enough at this point to really make a machine that can make us money in that world. Let me see here. This is probably the same basic question. How do I get low cost or no cost, preferably targeted traffic to affiliate links? Let's just make the question what it is, because we get this question all the time, often in broken English, usually on Facebook. Where do I be getting the free traffic?
Where is it all hidden?
Where is all
the free traffic?
This free traffic that actually converts? Where is it? Where can I find that?
That's a rough question. There isn't a whole lot of it out there, to be quite honest. And I guess if you're wanting free traffic, there's a lot more long tail work. If you're looking for that free traffic, then you're investing yourself in a long, arduous process of building up credibility in a space. So, for example, if you're an affiliate and you're wanting to promote an offer like Chris's, you're running Language Desire, the only really free traffic outlet you're going to find is something like blogging or your writing, and you're trying to build up some kind of credibility. You're building up an audience online. So free traffic really isn't the best way to go if you're wanting to get a good quick start as an affiliate. It's going to be rough.
It's very rough, and it's also like, I mean, there's no such. I don't think there's any such thing as free traffic, because it always costs you something, right? It either costs you,
whether it's your time,
time, money, or reputation, right? In a lot of ways, because sometimes I'll get people who will. There's a question down below. There's somebody who said, I have sent so many clicks to your offer and it didn't convert any. And I'm like, well, we know this offer converts, right? So that means you're sending the wrong kind of traffic, and you're probably what this guy's probably doing is going into blogs and leaving spam comments
or forums.
Or forums or
YouTube
things
videos.
like that. They're just like doing a lot of that kind of work, doing cut and paste kind of stuff, and that stuff just doesn't convert, because why would it convert? Like, these people are not in a place where they're interested in what we're kind of doing. But I think it's really important, like you were saying, to get the idea of free traffic out of your head, really.
I think that's fair, because if you're wanting free traffic, the problem is like if you're looking at a Venn diagram and there's free traffic and then there's qualified traffic, there isn't a whole lot of crossover there. You can get super crazy cheap, almost free traffic that isn't really worth anything, because like Chris is saying, it's just not going to convert.
No, and even that's not the reason I end up banning that stuff, is because I'm like, dude, my serving costs for the video go way up, and I can't afford that traffic at that point, right? To an affiliate.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So to me, it's more about like figuring out do you want to do social media traffic, which can convert, but it's not going to convert as well as AdWords or email or anything like that. Do you want to build up an email list, which I think is always a great idea, to build some kind of list, or building up a Facebook page. One of our top 10 affiliates, I think she was number 5 for our contest, drove all of her traffic from her Facebook page, every single click.
Yeah,
which I thought was amazing.
It can be done.
It can be done if you know what you're doing. I'm going to have her on a call probably in a couple of weeks. Or getting really good at PPC traffic, Google or Bing or Facebook, or even Facebook to a certain degree, or whatever. But you want to pick like one subcategory and immerse yourself in learning that one category above and beyond anything else, right?
Yeah, most definitely. And when you're doing that, like we're talking about Yahoo, Gemini, and Bing, Google AdWords, Facebook
and all
traffic.
These words sound so crazy to people. They're like, "What are you talking about?" Ad networks and all this other stuff. CPA. I'm like, why is there an accountant involved? I don't understand. The first time I heard CPA, I was like, is it tax season? I don't get it.
Took me a while to figure that out too. So
that's cost per acquisition is what it actually means. But I think it's just about drilling down and picking something, and that choice can be hard to make. Like choosing where to go and what to focus your time on can be hard to make. But just like in life in general, the only wrong choice is not making one. Really.
Yeah, and I think it's very intimidating for something you haven't done. You haven't had a success making $1 online.
Yep.
And of all these options that look super lucrative, you are going to pick one and only one.
Yep.
And maybe you're once you do that, you're going to think, if you would have selected 99 of the other 100, those probably would have been better. But the thing is, it's not the case. The case
That's what you
of
do.
all those 100, somebody's made a ton of money in each of those, and you need to learn that.
Yep.
Learn that one
and all
thing.
the different niches.
And one of the
Go ahead. Sorry.
No,
a
you're okay.
little bit of a break up there. But there you go. We're back now. We texted ourselves back together using one of my products. It was great.
Done. One of the keys to this, and my experience in the industry, is that for the most part, affiliates and internet marketers in general, like Chris is giving a perfect example of this, is that everybody is so generous in providing information to help you get started. They know that their life has been changed by internet marketing, by learning it, and they're super willing to share that. And so finding a mentor or someone that you trust, whether you know them personally or whether you know them through their awesome content available on their podcast or blog or whatever, having a mentor is of such great value. So finding someone to follow is exceptionally
and
a
that
great
can
choice.
either be somebody who you have a personal relationship with, which is great, or it can just be somebody like I'm giving. Why am I doing these interviews and things like that with people? I'm not making any money on this, right? Directly, anyway.
True.
There's reciprocity and things. I'm doing it because I want more affiliates down the line. I want to create more people that can help me sell my stuff from a selfish standpoint, and also because I like teaching, and also because. I know a lot of people who have come from, everybody's got the same story of I was dead broke and I had ADHD and I couldn't, and I felt totally worthless, and my brother-in-law kept calling me a loser, and then I discovered this and now I'm doing well, right? And it's like everyone, there's the biggest thing I guess I want to impress from this particular call for people who say, what is the secret? There's no secret. There's no secret. The secret is this is work. The secret is get good at it.
Hard work.
It's hard work, and you can't get good at everything. And pick the one thing that you're the most passionate about, or you think you have the most inborn talent for, or whatever else, and get as good as you possibly can at that one thing, whatever it is. Whether it's on the traffic side or the conversion side, and that's your way in, right? For me, it was copywriting. For somebody else, it might be being able to design pages. For somebody else, it might be they know how to build a following on YouTube, and that's your way into the whole world, and you can kind of expand out your skills from there. Let's talk about list building, because you mentioned it before about how one of the most powerful things is to build an email list. I would totally agree. I would say actually in my company, our email list generates 30 to 40% of our revenue every year at this point. I would say, and that's mostly as an affiliate for other people's offers, right? Promoting friends of ours, basically, because I don't believe in competition. I believe in partners and this kind of thing, because we can all make money together. So the question here is, how do I build a list that responds to a particular offer? I'm not converting well on cold traffic straight to the offer page, whatever they mean by cold traffic and that means, or by collecting opt-ins and then sending them to the offer via email. Any advice? And I'm assuming they're talking about our offer in this case, that they're not able to make whatever traffic they're using convert. But they want to know, how do I build a list that responds to a particular offer?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
And, to be honest, building an email list has never been something that I'm an expert in, but knowing from what I've learned just from examples of those who have had a lot of success in it, it's definitely challenging to build up an email list and not collect an email list of freebie seekers.
Yeah, get a lot of those. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. But at the same time, if you're wanting to, I mean, I guess there's two different ways to do it, where you're building the opt-in list yourself, where you are creating some kind of opt-in landing pages, you're advertising to that landing page, getting reasonably cheap traffic, and targeted traffic is the key.
Yeah.
People who already have an expressed interest in what they're about to sign up for through your opt-in.
Yeah.
The other way is, which I wouldn't necessarily recommend, unless you're like a large-scale emailer, which would be buying that email data.
Yep.
But to be honest, I would start at fresh, building your own opt-in list, where you're able to cultivate the relationship with those opt-ins once they're acquired.
And actually, let's talk about that relationship aspect, because I think a lot of people make the mistake of thinking they don't. It's easy to start seeing internet marketing as a video game. In a weird sort of way. It's easy to see it, and actually from a moral standpoint, that can be really problematic, because oftentimes being evil will make you more money in the short term, right? Doing an offer where you lie about everything in your copy and deliver a crappy product and have really high refund rates, you'll still make money for now. You won't last. Yeah. Like, my business is going to be around in 5 and 10 years, whereas a lot of these other guys isn't, because they're not thinking that way. But the relationship is the hugest part of it. Like, having it feel like they get to know you, telling personal stories and actually having that kind of thing. You can't just see your email list as a cash machine. You can't just send them offer after offer after offer and expect them to bond with you in any way, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter
Most
of like,
definitely.
Yeah. It's a matter of like building up, having autoresponders or videos or something else where you talk, for instance, if somebody wanted to build a list in the Text Your X to promote Text Your X back, I would recommend they would give away, they'd have some kind of giveaway that they would do in order to get the opt-in. Maybe it's a video, maybe it's a report, maybe it's something else. And the first thing I would tell them to do would be have them tell the person who receives the opt-in their story of getting their heart broken, right? Like, have them write up an email where they talk about, how awful it was, what happened, how she dumped him, how the guy ended up seeing his ex-girlfriend making out with a guy 4 inches taller than him on the street, et cetera, and creating that bond. And don't just try to go for the sale right away, right? Every single time.
Yeah.
It's about the long tail. It's about the long relationship that you end up getting into with people. And some people will end up on your list for years and years and years. But you have to deliver, content doesn't have to be, here's the step-by-step way to do this. Content has to be something that's emotional and engaging and entertaining and creates a bond with you, so that when you then say, hey, I'm Mike Fiore and I really recommend you go check out this video, people actually trust you to go click on it, right? So,
it's pretty interesting. I don't know if for those who are listening and watching, if you've heard of Russell Brunson.
Yep.
He is an expert online marketer, and he's one of those that is always willing to share a lot of knowledge, and for free, really. But one of the things that I learned from him about email marketing, building that relationship, is that what you're sharing in your emails, like Chris is saying, doesn't have to be like this step-by-step learn about, you need to know these 3 things or whatever. It's sharing that story where they know that you're a real person. They know that you have gone through the struggles that they have gone through, that they see that your day-to-day life through your emails. I mean, Russell would write an email about something that just happened to him that morning, about something totally random. And then, it really, in a sense, didn't have any content where it was like teaching them something, but it did have that relational value where they're like, man, Russell, this guy's a real person, and he's a funny dude, or he goes through struggles that I do. So
I would also say, like,
it's
go ahead. Sorry, finish up what you were saying.
No, I was just going to say it's all about engaging them from that personal level.
And I would also say, like, being willing to be exposed as a person to a certain degree. This drives my wife crazy. My wife is a very private person, and she somehow ended up married to me. And I don't know if you've ever seen me speak at a conference or anything. I'm kind of an attention whore. I'm very large and very loud, and I don't have any secrets. I'll tell somebody I just met at a bar the deepest, darkest things in my life, because why not? Because it gets them to open up at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and in your emails, like, being vulnerable in your emails is actually very, very powerful, right? I think I've mentioned this before, but one of the emails that people get for the Text the Romance Back AR sequence is a story of me at 7 years old, waking up, padding down to the kitchen, and seeing my parents screaming at each other, and me saying, "Can you guys please be quiet? I'm trying to sleep." Right? And it's a true story. It's a little bit heartbreaking, and it's called the "Why I Do This" email from Michael Fiore, and it's all about why do I actually care so much, and that creates a bond that is very powerful. That one email gets more response than anything else we send out, right? Because a lot of people feel like either they've been through that experience or they don't want their kids to go through that experience. Continuing, the next thing, what's the best way to create a big email contact list is the next question, and I'll say one thing before we even get into that. The way to do it is over time, basically, and you'll compound your list as time goes. I'll say a couple things. One is, for me, the way to build a big email opt-in list, contact list, was to have products that convert, right? Like, just by having products that convert, I got people to send me traffic, and I was able to either create a customer list, and a customer list is way more valuable than an opt-in list, and also get a big opt-in list. I'll also say there's a big myth to the big list, right? Like, I can tell people, they say, "How big's your list?" And I say, "Our women's list is 250,000-ish, something like that." That's a big list. It doesn't really matter how big the list is. It matters how many people are actually engaged and how many people open your emails and how many people actually click through. I would say, and there's the law of the big list is the bigger your list gets, the less effective it actually gets per name, right? Just because of you're going to get people on there who aren't quite qualified or whatever else. When our list was 100,000 women, it was almost as effective or as effective as it is now. Basically, because it was a more honed thing, and names age out of lists over time. They stop wanting to pay attention to you or whatever else. So focusing on the big list, I think, is actually a huge mistake. It's more about getting a qualified list, whatever that might mean, for whatever you're doing. A qualified list of people that like the topic that you're interested in some way. Anything to add to that?
I agree. No, there isn't a whole lot to add to that. You kind of covered it pretty well. I think that's something that should be commonly practiced is kind of weeding out that list,
Definitely.
Because having a 500,000 contact list doesn't matter if 400,000 of them just aren't doing anything at all.
It just costs you money at that point, honestly. It just costs you money.
Exactly. You're going to cut down your costs if you cut down on the size of the list, and you can, it's the 80-20 principle. If you have 20% of your customers bringing in 80% of your revenue, those are the customers you're going to want to focus on.
Yep.
So applying that principle to email marketing and building or maintaining a list and whatnot, I think is crucial.
And emailing out to people that don't want your stuff is bad. Like, we don't, never spam. We don't like to spam because spamming is bad, and it also ends up biting you in the pocketbook as time goes on. But yeah, I even think about, I'm thinking about doing some Chris Haddad branded stuff. Like, I'm thinking about doing a very high-end event next year for some people, and I already know the 20 people that want to come to that event and can afford to do it, right? That's I basically have a 40-person list that I'm trying to sell to. But it's very effective because I've got a reputation with them. I have a relationship with them. This is only for people who have established, built businesses, things like that. Size of the list doesn't matter. It's who's on it and how do they feel about you, and and making it as I tell people all the time. People don't like to buy from companies; they buy from people, especially information products. They're buying from people, personas.
Most definitely. Yeah. Chris, since we're on this topic, I guess I kind of a question for you, because we see in like social media traffic and kind of build a Facebook page, having people share some kind of post or whatnot is huge in building up that following and audience on Facebook. In terms of building your email list, have you ever had success in doing that and having your audience through their email share some kind of stories or share an email with others to build your email list?
We've never really tried that. We have certainly got anecdotal evidence of people saying, what we have seen is people forwarding articles to their friends,
Gotcha.
and then finding out later that's how they came in some way. We've even had people forwarding some of our sales videos to people because we actually try to give good stuff in our sales videos as well. But we've never really tried the actively getting people to share something in exchange for something. I know that some people tried that several years back. It's a great idea to try. I think you can take the metaphor that you see in Facebook and things like that and apply it. But definitely on Facebook, getting something to go viral We'll get you
Oh my gosh.
We had one crazy thing that got like 70 million reach or something like that. I forget what it even was.
Jeez.
And we got all these extra likes and things like that out of it and building a page. I'm going to have the woman who does our Facebook stuff on eventually, and we'll talk about it. You might even want to watch it because we switched from somebody else to her and doubled our likes within 3 months.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
I'd have to tune in for that. It's good.
She's good, and I kind of want to make her a star because I think she deserves it. She's done some crazy stuff. Let's talk about niches for bitches, as they say. I know for me, so my story in internet marketing, I got involved in it when I was in my mid-20s. I thought, oh man, nobody reads sales letters. What the heck is this stuff? I was really biased against it. I was, making $18,000 a year doing temp work and trying to write for a living and things like that. And then eventually I swallowed my pride. I started learning how to write sales letters, went through all that for years. And for years after I knew how to write a good sales letter and was getting paid good fees, my reputation got pretty good, I would say, oh, I should really do my own product. But what niche should I do it in? Oh my God. And like that totally paralyzed me for years, basically, from actually creating anything. I would say I don't have a lot of regrets in my career, but if I did have any regrets, it's that I didn't start this business 3 or 4 years earlier, because I knew everything I needed to know to get started 3 or 4 years earlier. I just didn't have the confidence to know that I knew what I needed to know, and I was like, but what niche do you go into? How do you pick a niche to kind of like go after?
Well, I think for starters, jumping on the Clickbank marketplace and seeing what's out there and what is being sold successfully. I mean, that's huge. I mean, there's tons of knowledge you can gain just from that, looking at the marketplace. And if you look today and see what's growing really, really quickly, primarily, I mean, the remedy space. So in terms of, some diseases like diabetes, neuropathy, blood pressure, blood sugar, and whatnot.
That as well. Yeah.
Yes, that as well.
That's
very popular.
Yeah. Impotence big.
Yeah. But aside from that, I think what's really crucial and vital to finding a successful niche is you're wanting to identify an audience that number one has a need, but it's a very passionate audience, an audience that is very engaged. And I think a perfect example of one that's popular today is paleo. People who do paleo are like religiously paleo people.
They're into it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and they live it, and they will defend it.
When I'm not sick in Florida, I do CrossFit, and I try to eat paleo when I'm home and things like that. And it is a bit cultish in its own kind of way.
Oh yes,
that word means something to them in a very strong way. I would also say, like, as far as picking a niche, definitely looking at what's popular on ClickBank is a great way to go. The worst thing you can do when picking a niche is try to pick a niche where there's nobody else there, right? Because from my standpoint, I built this business by going into the relationship space, which already had established affiliates and established product owners who had email lists, and giving them something else to mail that worked. And by the way, as a guy who owns a list, I am always looking for good offers. Always. Like there is not a week that goes by where Colleen and I aren't sitting there going, man, I really wish we had another great offer that we can send to our devastating list. Because we're just like, there's 3 that work and we can't keep sending them, right? Same thing on the women's side. There's so many people. I actually had I went on a bit of a tirade with some people on the women's niche about just like, can you please stop making the exact same offer over and over again? Because it's getting old. There's no hook. There's no anything to it. So we're always looking for kind of new stuff. I would say, generally speaking, go into a niche where, if you're new, if you're just getting started, go into a niche where there's already established big players. Right?
Yes.
And then either as an affiliate, you want to start finding ways to send traffic to established offers. Yes, there's going to be more competition there, but it works, right? Like there's going to be something there. And if you're on the product side where you feel like you're going to create a product, what you want to do is figure out a way to create a product that is complementary to what the biggest dogs in your particular niche are doing. You don't want to do the exact same thing they did, because why would they know that? By the way, I've had people blatantly rip off my entire sales process. They just they slightly changed the name of the product, like our X-Back product. They totally rip off all of the content, except for a few minor edits. And then they actually come to me and say, hey, will you mail my offer? And I go, no, but I'll mail you a letter from my lawyer. That'll be great. Let's go. It's just like the audacity just gets really kind of strange.
Yeah.
Strange to me. To me, though, the biggest thing for niches is like, there's only so many that are really big enough to really do something with. It's health, wealth, longevity stuff, basically. Real estate was a big niche for a long time, but I think is lesser so now, and things like that. For me, I think the biggest way to kind of pick what niche you want to get into is, A, do you have any connections? Right? Do you know anybody who's already in that niche who you can kind of exploit in some way? I mean exploit in the nicest way possible, but actually build relationships with.
For sure.
B, do you have a passion for it? Because I got to tell you, like, as a copywriter and as somebody, when you're running this business, doing something that you don't believe in or don't like every day, sure as heck gets boring and kind of soul sucking at a certain point.
To a point.
So, what niches are still popular out there that we can take advantage of? I don't think niches go out of popularity, do they? I mean, some of them do, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, I think as a whole, I mean, like health and fitness is one that is, has longevity, which is, mainly what I focus on. And you'll see, like you mentioned, subcategories, sub niches die out after a while and whatnot. But overall, there are these, general audience needs that everybody has, and so you can always capitalize on those, and then always have a wide amount of traffic that you can leverage to promote those. But in terms of niches that are doing really well right now, and if you break down, I'll try to get a little more specific than just like health and fitness is big, and
totally.
Self-help is really big.
Like, what kind of health and fitness? What kind of stuff? Yeah.
Exactly. As I mentioned before, remedies is a huge seller right now, and it's really easy to identify it by looking at the age demographic and where like the purchasing power in the economy is. I mean, those who are 55 plus demographic, and especially women, are kind of like the main buyers online. And I don't quote me on this stat. I heard it once a couple weeks ago that like searches on like Google and Yahoo and Bing, women outnumber men 2 to 1.
I believe that.
And that is something that I heard, and it sounds crazy, but I do believe it as well, knowing how much traffic we get for women offers.
That's why we focus on the women's side of our business so much. I mean, plain and simple, because there's more of it. There's more of it, and it's less psychotic, I would say, as well, than some of the men's stuff. But that's okay.
Yes.
The customers are less angry.
But following that trend of age demographic, when you follow that trend of that age demographic of like 55 plus, looking at fitness from that perspective, and if you're familiar with the ClickBank marketplace, you've seen that like old school new body is one that's very popular and has been for quite some time, because it is targeting that demographic that is very, very popular right now. But outside of health and wellness and fitness, dating and relationships is something that hasn't ever gone away and only continues to grow. People are always going to have trouble finding their special someone or some kind of relationship.
And I will say the relationship niche is changing in ways, because like the pickup stuff is kind of falling away at this point on the men's side of things. Like, I'm not really sure what the right kind of men's product is anymore, because I feel like the pickup thing is kind of fallen apart. Dow Badass was really big for a while. There was a few others that were doing really, really well on ClickBank, but I feel like that concept of like being a pickup artist is kind of fallen. I'm waiting to see what happens next on the men's side as far as what makes sense. And also to your point about like, you only want to sell to people who have a desperate need and have money, right? Like we don't sell, we don't sell, like, I mean, even our, a language of desire, which theoretically would work for any age woman, over 18, basically, we make very, very few sales to anybody under 35, very few, I mean, it's like a tiny, tiny percentage. Because who has money?
Another one that's growing right now, that has been for quite some time, and I think is a good example of a passionate niche that really, at least to me, wasn't. Well, I guess if you see the writing on the wall, you can pick up on it. But about a year and a half ago, the survival space, survival space, just kind of blew up on ClickBank.
Got huge.
And I mean, we had one, maybe 2 guys that were selling it for quite some time. But in like last 2 years, it just boomed because they just followed what the trends they saw in the media. I mean, these shows that were appearing on random cable channels about doomsday preppers and whatnot. I mean, it was massive, and so people wanted to, these digital marketers wanted to capitalize on it, and they did. And it was a very passionate audience with a lot of purchasing power.
And by the way, that niche, everybody in that niche is a angry far-right white guy, basically.
There you go.
That's who you're selling to. It's an angry far-right white guy. He's not, I won't call him racist per se, but he's definitely got some, but he's afraid. Basically, he's afraid of like not protecting his family. He's afraid of being phased. He's afraid of people with darker skin basically taking over the country and being made irrelevant and things like that. One of the letters I wrote years ago, Power for Home, was like, on top of ClickBank for a long time. I forget how. And that was one of the earlier ones in the prepper niche, really, right? It was about how to make your own power and whatnot. And when I wrote that one, it was just like, okay, I know who these people are. I know what they're afraid of. Right, I know why they have this knee-jerk reaction against Obama, right? Like, despite whether he's a good president or not, I don't even really care on that stuff. But watching the social trends that are going on and what people are getting outraged about can really lead you towards what the next big thing is. And now the survival space has become it started off several years ago with nobody in it. And now there's enough players that they can actually do cross promotions. They can actually syndicate in some way. They can actually do a lot of cool stuff. So niches can kind of grow out of things that way. I don't think that niche is going to be around in any significant way 15 years from now, necessarily.
No, if anything, a very niche specific category.
Yeah. I think it's also a time. That's a time and a place right now, right? It's like this certain time where the politics in America are leading, where that kind of thing is really, really popular.
Exactly.
So as a new affiliate starting out on CB, I wanted to know what is the hottest market right now. Again, like look at, I think just to put words in your mouth, look at what's out there that's actually a thing. We can't predict what's going to be the next big thing on ClickBank.
Sure.
I would also say for a new affiliate, you don't want to try to predict anything, right? Like if you're new, you want to go into a niche that's already sophisticated, right? Because you don't want to be going into a niche doing all this work, building a list, and then having nothing to promote. And you don't want to be going in and building a product, and if you don't know how to do cold traffic, no one's going to promote you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Leave that for the people that have been around for a while and have the cojones and the dollars in their pockets to be able to do it. But go after again, like health and fitness stuff. People always want to be thinner. They always want to be prettier. They always want to be taller. They always want to have a bigger dick. They always want to, get over their diabetes. The one thing I would say is, one thing I learned early on in my marketing education was, never sell prevention, right? Like you want to go broke, teach people how not to get diabetes. You can make that as a benefit bullet, in something else, right? Oh, if you do paleo, you're going to look great naked. This is going to happen. You're going to have all this energy and you won't get diabetes. Great.
Sure.
But as far as like selling prevention, it does not work in any one way. So I would also say one final point on the niche thing, don't let your passion project get in the way of making money, right? Because people will have this idea of this thing they really, really want to sell. It's like a personal development thing about how to use, dolphin, the language of dolphins to find your soulmate or something like that. And I'm like, just don't go there. You want to go after things that are actually kind of already shown to work in some way. Yeah. Let's get to the marketing stuff here. Got one big question here. When writing a pre-sale or product review page, which I have not done a lot of those personally, so I'm glad you're here. When writing a pre-sale or product review page, what is the most effective way to pre-sell your visitors and get them to click on your affiliate link and buy? I have tried consulting other resources, but I've only gotten vague advice, like make it sound like more like a recommendation than a sales pitch. For example, don't oversell, don't mention price, and try to set the stage. How do you really write a pre-sale product review page in a way that whets the visitor's appetite and puts them in the right mindset to click on the affiliate link and most likely make a purchase?
My goodness, that is quite the question.
Yeah.
So I think that the best way to make it, like the pre-sale page, you're going to want to continue split testing. And I hope that whoever asked this question, that is what you're doing, that you are testing every element of this pre-sale page to make sure that you can identify what is working and what isn't working, so you know what to take out and what not to take out. Yep. There are a lot of tools out there that you can use. Some of them can be a little expensive, like Visual Website Optimizer is one. There's another one called Landing Page Genius, which is commonly used. But I would say the keys to doing that is, I can't really tell you what works and what doesn't because there are so many variables out there, and every niche, every audience is going to respond differently.
Yep.
But what you want to do is instead of focusing on the pre-sale page, focus on the traffic that's landing on that pre-sale page. How are you getting them to that page? If you're doing search, you need to be changing up those, what the keywords you're searching for, so you're getting the right audience, how your ad is being displayed, so that you're not getting people who really aren't going to buy clicking on that. If you can qualify that landing page before they get to that page, your pre-sale page, then that's what you're going to want to do. So I think that is key, is like every step of the funnel is key, not just the pre-sale page, but where they're going to be coming from before they land on that pre-sale page.
Yeah, I think the big thing is just like looking at marketing this is not something I only realized I had started doing in the last 6 months or so when I was doing some webinars for people. And I'm like, they were asking me, like, they wanted me to like talk about writing headlines. And I was like, that's not, like, I don't think about headlines anymore. I think about the funnel, right? As kind of, in my brain, it really is one thing, right? And to me, it's like from traffic to purchase through upsell into, like, that's all the thing that you're basically working on. And you need to think about it when you're on a product side. You want to get to the point that you think about it as that. The worst thing you can end up doing is like you write a sales letter, you create a product, and then you try to make a sales letter that sells that product that wasn't really thought out properly in the first place, and then you try to get like emails that go there or traffic that goes there, and it becomes a big clusterfuck at a certain point. Yeah, I would say, for the pre-sale pages and review pages are one of those things that as a product owner, I have a love-hate relationship with review pages, as do all product owners, because essentially people that are making all of their money on review pages are kind of stealing my sales, or they're basically stealing sales from other affiliates who actually drove fresh traffic in some way. It's there, if you're new, it can be an effective way to get some sales under your belt and whatever else. But essentially what you're doing is sniping or poaching traffic that, somebody will go to one of our pages, watch the video, and then they do a Google search for, blankety blank review. Some review pages provide actual value. Like they'll actually give an honest review and they'll go through. Some of them, the ones I don't like are the ones like, language of desire, scam, click here, blah, 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 because it just doesn't really personally. Yeah, and there's not much we can really do about that. But I would say from a review standpoint, having your review seem like it came from an actual person will help, right? Having a video part to your review or something like that can be very, very effective. I would say actually go through the product. Buy it or get a review copy if somebody's going to give you that. Actually go through it. Don't have your review just be, this is awesome, this is awesome, this is awesome, click on this. Find a way to write a review that actually says both the good and to some degree the bad of what's going to go on, and go from there. For other pre-sale pages like, article landers and things like that, it's really just about, getting people excited about that video. It's about making sure, I will say this, like, review pages are about the product, right? And going through towards the actual sales video or towards the lander in some way. And pre-sale pages are about the video or the sales letter. They're about the idea of the video or the sales letter. So for language desire, a review page is going to be about the program that Felicity did, which is wonderful. Whereas a pre-sale page where you're just trying to, you got traffic landing on that page and either opting in or just, using that as a buffer before they get to the actual thing, you want to sell the idea of what they're going to learn in the video, right? So just understanding the difference between that, I think, is actually very powerful. Anything to add there before we keep moving?
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep.
I was just going to say, when you're going to build those pre-sale pages, like an echo thing, I feel like maybe I'm cutting in and out, but
you are a little bit.
Sorry about that. Cool. So really what I think is key is also that, you're coming into this, and as we've been talking about, you're not the first one to do this as a new affiliate. And so it's really important is if you're trying to figure out how to make your pre-sale page work, look at what other people are doing. And you don't want to replicate what they're doing. You don't want to just steal their information, but you do want to see what kind of tactics are they using that are working well. And so I think that's really crucial in building out your pre-sale pages.
I would agree, and you want to emulate. I always say emulate before you innovate, and also know the difference between being inspired by something and stealing. Right? Like, there's been times when, and again, I've been stolen from a lot, right? Like once you get a reputation, and the bigger you get, the bigger the target on your head. And I've had people take entire sales letters of mine and just change a few things and literally not understand why I was mad. Like they didn't make any sense to them. Basically, they're like, "But I just did what you do." I'm like, "No, you didn't do any of the actual work. You just stole."
You did not.
You stole my work, which I work really hard on, and you basically put it up there. From like a copy standpoint, when you're looking at a pre-sale page or something like that, you want to study, what kind of headline is there, right? Is it a benefit headline, which is basically saying, lose 30 pounds in 30 days by eating donuts? Is it a curiosity headline? Is it a story-based headline? You won't believe the secret food this mom of 4 ate that made her lose her baby weight in 3 months or less, etc. Or that kind of thing. You want to learn the deeper DNA of it, not just swipe it, basically, just like or steal it at that point. And that takes time. It takes time to get to the point that you can look at any kind of marketing stuff and see the DNA of how it works. I'm at the point now where I can actually look at a video script that somebody has if I'm consulting with somebody, and I can say, oh, you got that from me, you got that from John Benson, you got that from somebody else, etc. Let's see if you're still there. Josh, still there? You froze on me. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. You're back, I hope. Can you hear me?
I am back.
Okay,
yes,
cool.
About that. I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You're a little bit fuzzy, but I think that's okay because we're
the internet.
How dare the internet that makes us a living also do these things. So just a few more questions, and then we'll let you out of here. With the internet saturated with affiliate marketing, is it still possible for a newbie like me to make money, or at least is there room for new affiliates to make it big?
Yes, the answer is a resounding yes. There's so much traffic to take advantage of, and while the rules may be a little bit tighter, like before, I guess years back, the internet and digital marketing is kind of like the wild west, where you can kind of really run anything. But even though there's a lot more restrictions with Google and there's restrictions with Facebook, that doesn't mean there isn't potential there. I mean, there's so much potential out there, and everything that Chris and I have discussed today. Again, I'll continue to reiterate the notion that you just need to pick one thing. You just need to run with that. Whether it's learning search traffic, whether it's learning how to build up an audience on Facebook or opt-in email lists, whatever it is,
podcasting.
Master that one thing.
If you're great at podcasting,
huge.
And if you can build a big audience that loves your podcast, and you're putting out a podcast every week and it's quality, you can build a really good audience out of that, right? But it's about it's about just like picking. And again, I think that's the biggest message of this whole call is pick one thing and go all in, right? Like become, I'm successful because I busted my butt to become a world-class copywriter, right? That's it. There's really nothing else. Well, I'm an incredibly competitive person who likes to win, but it's mostly just like I focused just on the copy stuff for years and got to the point that I was better at it than 99% of the people that are out there. And then that led to all this other stuff. Other people are become great media buyers. Media buying to me is scary. Mm-hmm. Like you're putting money out there and you're hoping things come back. It seems kind of scary. Other people get really good at SEO and that's what they focus on. Other people get really good at, articles, pumping out articles, whatever else, whatever it's going to be. The opportunity is endless because there's like Josh was just saying, there's so much out there, and the percentage of. So I have an offer right now that's getting 150,000, 200,000 clicks a day, something like that, right? That's a lot of clicks. That's a TV show that got 150,000 viewers would be canceled every single time, right? The percentage of people that could be potentially for an audience like our offers or anything else that are actually being reached by the various media we're able to use is minuscule at this point. So there's plenty of opportunity as long as you're able to focus on one thing and run with that one thing. And I think it's also that new types of media and new ways of driving traffic are coming up all the time, right? It's just a matter of actually doing the work and putting the effort in. But do the work. That's the secret, by the way. How do you get successful online? Do the fucking work. It's kind of,
I think it's really important that...
we lose you again? Hold on a second. You're going to come back. 1 second.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Sweet.
Yes.
Come on.
There we go. We're almost there.
Okay, sweet.
Yep.
All right. I was just going to say one real quick. I think it's important to put it into perspective that you don't have to be the first to do something in order to be successful. Countless times you can, just keep an eye on what's going out there in the industry, and then follow those who have had success.
Yeah, I would say follow those who have success and innovate in some way. Put a new spin on it.
Sure.
Do some creativity.
Yeah.
I've used this
Add your
example.
stamp on it.
Yeah, like, the X-back niche when I came into that was pretty saturated. We did texture X-back. It was a totally different angle, totally different idea. And that's why that one actually worked. Final question from here, and then I'll have one more for you, and then we'll finish things up.
Cool.
So this is, I've seen Clickbank send out notification emails about upcoming products to affiliates. Is it possible to have Clickbank contact affiliates for our product launches? And if so, what do we have to do to make that happen?
It's a great question. I think it's something that is very coveted, is being able to have the ability to reach out to affiliates, because right now the way that Clickbank is set up, it's very close in terms of vendor to affiliate interaction.
It's difficult.
And right now, what we do to roll out product announcements and whatnot is it is difficult, but we try to cater specifically to our platinum level clients. As we mentioned before, those who have reached a certain tier is an added benefit that we give to those clients like Chris. Once you reach that point, we're happy to continue working with you, but because our bandwidth is limited, we have to focus on those to give that added benefit and whatnot. However, in the near future, we hope to have something that will make it more of an opportunity where you'll have the ability to connect with affiliates and vice versa, without Clickbank having to kind of be the intermediary.
Because right now what happens, like, for instance, LOD is still blowing up, and I'm seeing all these new Clickbank IDs, and I'm like, and I go to Camden, who's my my platinum guy at this point, and I say, okay, here's the 5 IDs I need to get in touch with, right? Because I want to know my affiliates, and
for sure.
And some of them he knows who they are, and some of them he doesn't. And there's this whole process where he has to send an email asking if it's okay for me to contact them or whatever else.
Yeah.
It gets kind of arduous at that point. I would say I didn't even know Clickbank would do a blast like that. I would have had them do it for Language Desire, but I didn't end up needing them to, because I've been building my own affiliate list over years and things like that. But I think it is. I think it's also, for folks who are newer, you're not going to get that kind of service until you've proven you can sell something. Basically, you have to be able to show that you've got some chops, right? Because the worst thing that could happen would be having Clickbank mail out for your affiliate offer and have your affiliate offer bomb, right? Because you only get that one shot, right?
Yeah.
I was explaining to somebody, I was like, okay, I've been doing this for a while now. I've got a reputation as a copywriter. I've had many successes. I'm allowed a failure every once in a while, right? Because it's okay, you hit it out of the park enough times, people don't get mad when you hit a single, right? They just kind of get okay, that one was a single, what's next? If it's your first time up at bat, you need to do at least a double just to be able to stick around at that point. So I think a lot of people they look for that big exposure too quickly without knowing their numbers. Without people ask me to promote things all the time, and I'm like, what's your EPC on this kind of traffic and this kind of traffic? And they're like, I'll let you know when we finish the sales video the day before the launch. I'm like, no, that's not going to work out so well. For me anyway, it's not going to work out, because I think I had a rant about this actually on a private call about there were so many people that were running launches and putting out new offers that were not tested in any way, right? Like they hadn't even tested to their own list, which isn't really even valuable. By the way, for those who are listening, running your own offer with your name on it to your own list is not a valid split test of any kind, basically. Because if Josh put out a product about something, whatever, and it was to his list, of course people are going to buy it. They know him and like him. When I mail out a Michael Fiore offer that has, if it's either a Michael Fiore product or my voice is in the video, I don't consider those stats useful at all, basically, because so many people have heard the podcast and everything else. So I love it when people say oh, we got $3 a click. I'm like, yeah, to your list of 5,000 people who are to your list of 5,000 buyers. That doesn't do anything for me. So Josh, let's finish this up here. And I just want to talk briefly about Clickbank got awesome all of a sudden.
We've been
what happened?
We've been trying to be awesome. That's a great question.
No, you've been trying to be awesome, but you weren't before. And this is as someone who has made, sold millions and millions of dollars worth of stuff through Clickbank. And if you had talked to me a year ago and you had said, what do you think about Clickbank? I would have said, I'm kind of entrenched. They're not a bad option. They're not always as, there were some issues. Now people ask me about Clickbank. I'm like, they're fucking awesome. What happened and what's going to happen next?
I will have to give that direct feedback to our CEO, let him know.
Great. Have him call me sometime. I know everybody else over there at this point.
We can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Clickbank, ClickBank is on the up and up. I've been, like I said before, I've been with ClickBank for 4 years, so I know what we were 2 years ago, and I know what we are now.
It's very
and to be part of the company right now is pretty exciting, and to be a vendor and affiliate on the platform is exciting as well. We had a internal change, a really big one, about a year and a half ago when our new CEO Matt Hewlett came on board, and with that,
he's from Expedia before that, right?
He was working with Expedia. He had some other. He's been in the tech industry for quite some time. Actually, had some experience with some different ad agencies and whatnot.
Interesting, great.
But Matt came in, and then after Matt, we had a whole bunch of executive changes. So a new VP of marketing, our new CTO, a new CFO, just a ton of changes. And that's been really refreshing for the company because now we have this new sense of direction. And someone who has been with ClickBank for a while, like yourself, Chris, you probably saw that for a while, ClickBank had a kind of like an identity crisis where it didn't know what direction it wanted to go in. And having Matt and the rest of the exec team on board really gave us a better direction.
Yeah, I felt like before it was kind of like, as a vendor, I almost felt like a necessary evil to ClickBank in a weird sort of way, right? Where it's like they would kind of try to help you out, but and there were certainly people inside who were great, individual people, and a lot of those people ended up leaving because the company did not have a strong hand at the rudder at that point. I can think of several.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the past quite a bit, and I think now more than ever we realize the value of building that relationship with individuals around the platform, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I got to say, so I've been I've been really sick for the last year or so, Lyme disease, all this other crap, and I really feel like I wasn't paying as much attention as I should have until I started getting better, and I really felt like Rip Van Winkle or something, right? You wake up and you're like, what is this new ClickBank thing I'm seeing? They're being really nice, and they're like trying to help me get more affiliates all of a sudden, like without me even asking. It's so strange.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome. I've been talking to Corey, who's the VP of marketing now, a bit about some of the stuff you guys are planning, and it's ambitious and it's awesome. And I've talked to some other people inside the company about some of the new features that are going to be coming out. Brad Howard, who does Venus Factor, is a good friend of mine. He was telling me some of the stuff that's going on. I'm excited. I'm excited about it because it just makes. I think there's a lot more opportunity with the platform at this point. And again, like if you'd asked me even 2 or 3 months ago how I felt about ClickBank, I was like, well, they always send the money on time,
Yes.
Because they do. I've never had a check not show up or never had a deposit not deposited. But now it just it feels like they're really kind of behind the success of the affiliates and the vendors in a way I didn't feel like it was before. So.
Yeah, and it's been as you can see, kind of a learning curve. Trying to identify what matters most to our clients and whatnot. We're trying to get into the nitty gritty to identify what matters most, and then pushing that out. The tech and any kind of processes, anything we can do to support you guys. Because more than ever before, ClickBank understands that when the affiliates and vendors make money, we make money, and we're all in this together.
Well, that's like me. Like in my business, I'm like I tell my team during launch and all the time, like our number one job is to make our affiliates money. Right? If we make our affiliates money, we make money. And for you,
exactly.
It's like, if I make my affiliates money, you make money too. It's just because kind of the way it works at that point. So I just think it's a great attitude, and I love that you guys are getting more involved and building new platforms. And it used to feel like people would ask for the ability to edit the freaking cart page for years.
Yeah.
Years of that kind of thing.
That was huge for us.
God. For
myself as an account manager, we hear these requests from everybody all the time, and we internally we're like, we need this stuff now. Like these clients are asking for it, and with the new leadership, there's a lot more driven response to these requests that we're getting from Chris and from Brad Howard, like you mentioned. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, much more response. As somebody who's near the top at this point, I'm seeing great response, and talking to friends of mine who are a little bit further down the totem pole as far as sales and such, they're still getting great help. And
that's great.
I'm also excited about some of the stuff I've been talking to ClickBank about doing some stuff with you guys that I think would be really cool. So
sweet.
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's a good time. So Josh Valencia, the handsome young Josh Valencia. Thank you so much for coming and joining us, or me, or whoever on this. If you somehow stumble upon this video and it's not on my affiliate blog, then you really should go over to digitalromanceinc.com/affiliates, and you'll be able to go and see the last several episodes of this and the future episodes that we haven't even done yet. It's kind of amazing. And if you have questions or things or types of people you want me to track down in the future, let me know. And I'm sure we'll have Josh or somebody else from Clickbank back at some point in the future as well.
Definitely.
Because you did a good job. I'm going to tell folks,
Thanks, Chris.
Not so bad. Not so bad. Okay.
Sweet.
Cool. Now I got to find a way to stop this thing. Where's the button? Oh, man. Where is it? Window, call recorder. This is when it gets really unprofessional. Yes, because I'm not even going to edit this. I'm just going to leave it exactly as it is right now. Because I'm
start
lazy.
doing something embarrassing.
Do you want to have put your favorite look on your face right before I hit the stop button?
Put my favorite what?
Well, put a funny look or an interesting look on your face before you. Oh, there's the one. And I'll do the same thing.